Check out Paddy Power's new and exclusive Cash Card Plus, available to use online, at ATMs, or even down the local. Paddy Power, you beauty.
Hi there, welcome along to the Racing Post Football Postcast. Bruce Millington, Mark Langdon and Henry Hardwick here in the studio, and over in Ireland from Paddy Power, Ed Quigley. It's FA Cup weekend, so we've got all the live games. Plus we'll be looking at all the best bets on the rest of the domestic programme and European action as well tonight and indeed next week. So we've got loads of bases covered. But before we look ahead, let's look back to last week and tip our hats to the mighty James Milton, who came up with this absolute stunner.
I like the look of Alfie Mawson in the first goal scorer market. Paddy Power offering a standout and very generous, I think, 30-1. He's the centre-back, scored 8 in 49 starts for Barnsley, got 2 in his last 5 for Swansea. Missed a good chance against Manchester City actually last weekend, and yeah, he's a real threat from dead ball situations. So yeah, he's my bet for this game.
Alfie Mawson, first goal scorer for James. How about that? That was a good shout,
It
wasn't
was.
it?
Yeah, he did it in style as well. I think Paddy Power should have paid that double, given how good the goal was.
One of the few bets he didn't keep a secret.
Well, I mean, obviously, I only remembered it when he scored the first goal, and people were tweeting, "What a great shout by James Milton!" I'd forgotten. Absolute killer. Never mind. Before we get stuck into the weekend, we'll do the 6 questions, 2 each, lads, and then you get to pick the one you wish you'd been asked. Mark Langdon, we'll start with you. What the hell happened with Barcelona?
Well, obviously I didn't expect 4-0. I don't think anybody could have predicted that. But I think if you'd watched enough of Barca this season, you could have seen that they were nowhere near the dominant force that they had been seasons gone past. I think that there's a couple of problems. One, that their recruitment plan in the summer has turned out to be wrong. Now, I don't think anybody said it at the time, because everyone said, oh, they've got a small squad, they need to boost the depth. So they did that. None of those players have made an impression on the starting 11 whatsoever. They've decided not to buy a right back, which was a mistake. Iniesta's, just on the wrong side of he's brilliant best now. And I think when the team collective is not right, the individuals can't sort of shine as bright. And I think the front three can only do so much if the rest of the team's not functioning. I mean, Luis Enrique, he'll definitely get the sack at the end of the season. But it's interesting because every time they play badly, he gets to blame. And whenever they play well, the players sort of get all the praise, which I always think is slightly unfair. But there's no doubt that they need a different approach, I think.
But they got absolutely spanked, didn't they? It was absolutely 4-0 was the least it could have been,
but when Real Betis drew 1-1 with them a couple of weeks ago, I mean, Betis scored one, missed a couple of one-on-ones, hit the woodwork a couple of times, and that's Real Betis. So I do think, I mean, Man City quite easily beat them 3-1, I felt, and with the better team at the Nou Camp. Even it sounds stupid because it finished 4-0, but 1-0 until the red card for Bravo, wasn't it? I mean, I thought they were easily the better team in that game. They don't like it when teams press them anymore because they haven't got the legs to be able to do it back, what they used to do so relentlessly to other teams. And interestingly, I thought for PSG, they did it without kind of the old spine of that team. Thiago Silva, Thiago Motta and Zlatan Ibrahimovic kind of in the core for the last few years. Maybe they would have been better off. They wouldn't have been able to have played that way had those three been playing, because it was full of energy, full of quality. I mean, we haven't seen that from PSG too much this season, and makes you wonder how good Monaco must be to be 3 points ahead of them in the table.
Quite. Yeah, there's a lot of judges saying that Monaco, I think you're one, Ed, aren't you? Like Monaco to give Man City a bit of a working over, don't you?
Yeah, no, big time. I think that price is kind of gone now. They're kind of into the same price that we are. They're like 7-4. But like even the match betting next week, I think Man City are like 4-6. It's way too short. I'd be taking that. I'd be backing double chance there all over on Monaco.
Okay, well that's actually your question, so we'll hold fire on that. But first we'll get Henry's one. Henry, an Arsenal fan, obviously smarting from last night. Here's the question though. I think Wenger goes, doesn't it? It'd be almost taking the piss for him to start another season. But if he goes, do you think Arsenal will improve?
I think I'm not sure Wenger's getting the best out of the squad that he's got at the moment. Whether that will lead to an improvement in his finishing position, obviously depends on a lot of things. The recruitment in the summer, how the other teams in the league perform as well. But I It's difficult. I mean, obviously, it depends massively on who they get in to replace Wenger. You know, if I was betting on it and it was 10 to 11 Pickham, I'd probably say they'd probably finish below where they have done under Wenger in previous seasons. So, you know, it's a very difficult situation, really.
How are we betting now, Ed, on next Arsenal boss?
Well, Allegri's favourite at 7-2. Then you got Tommy Tuchel at 4-1. Eddie House 5-1. That looks a definite lay. Looks way too short. Simeone 9-1. Benitez 12-1. Vieira's 12s as well. Yuki Love 14s. Koeman 16s. Ancelotti 20s, and it's 25s bar then.
Who would you want out of that lot?
I don't know. The worst thing about if Wenger goes, which it looks inevitable that he will do, is it sort of gives credence to all this Arsenal fan TV nonsense that builds up, and you know it's just absolute nonsense because they're not like a TV station that's after the opinion of sensible Arsenal fans who are going to give a sensible view about their opinion on Wenger and the team. They're just there to get retweets and clicks, and they take advantage of a lot of they humiliate fans on it for clicks, and it's just like that is then it's not going to be the reason that he gets a sack, but it's almost as if they've played a part in it, and that would be the worst thing as an Arsenal fan, thinking, these idiots have got their way in the end, and criticising Gary Neville, saying this is the voice of the fans and stuff. It's not really the voice of the fans. It's just a cheap, it humiliates and embarrasses some decent people that go on it just for the sake of a few retweets on Twitter, which is annoying.
It's not a good time though, is it, for the arse? Okay, right. You know what your question is now, Ed, because I've told you. What's the best bet for the Champions League next week?
It's definitely Monaco. You can get Monaco, but I'll just back +1 just to be a little bit conservative. But they're 9-2 for the match. But +1 you can get 13-10 against Man City. I mean, we all saw how well PSG played during the week. Just to put that in perspective, like Monaco are not only ahead of PSG in League One table, but they've also scored 25 more goals than PSG in the league as well, and they've only conceded 5 more, I think. So I mean, I mentioned a lad called Kevin Mbappe there last week. Like he doesn't even normally start, but he started at the weekend against Metz and he got a hat trick. Falcao, they've just got goals all over the team. It's a nice spread as well. Like Kamil Glick, their centre half, I think he must be the highest scoring centre half in Europe too, in the major divisions anyway. They've just got goals galore. City concede a lot as well. So, I think that's a cracking bet. And I think City are far too short.
Ed, I mean, you do like your sort of expected goals and shot stats and stuff like that. I mean, it's fair to say, though, Monaco are kind of obliterating sort of where they should be. I mean, are
they doing a Leicester?
They're very hot, aren't they, in terms of percentage of goal shots that are going in. I mean, they played a game the other week and scored with like their first 2 touches inside the box and stuff like that. Are you at all concerned by that, or do you think they're
maybe they've just got accurate shooters?
Yeah, I know. Yeah. I'm just asking Ed, obviously because I know that Ed sort of respects those stats, so that I'm just interested to sort of see how you go against that, against sort of what your eyes are seeing as well.
Yeah, no, big time. They're definitely not. They're rated massively by Asia, or as much as I think they should anyway. Obviously, I think PSG played Monaco there a few weeks ago in French League One, and PSG went off 1-2. I thought that was far too short as well. They managed to draw the game. They are, I guess, in terms of expected goals, they probably are exceeding where they should be. But I mean, 25 more goals than PSG in that league is something else, I think, and they just have quality players. I just think City are too. I often think the English teams are too short in Europe anyway. But yeah, I still think Monaco are cracking better.
It sounds like I need to add Monaco to my portfolio. What's the latest on the outright, Ed? After the first lot of round of 16 matches.
Yeah, so Bayern Munich are into 11-4 favs now. Real Madrid are 4-1. PSG, the big movers, in from 33s into 6-1. Atletico 15-2. Juventus 8-1. City 9-1. Dortmund 16-1. Sevilla 25-1. And Barcelona then are a whopping 30-1.
Arsenal
100-1, which is way too short.
Okie dokie. Were you about to say, and there's another one as well, Ed? I think.
Yeah, I think Sevilla will hammer Leicester as well.
Oh yeah, well we all know that.
Yeah.
You're not telling us anything we don't know there, Nostradamus. Okay. Right, Mark, who wins the Europa League? Sorry.
I mean, this is a fascinating Europa League. Yeah, there's a couple of teams I like. Celta Vigo. I've got a really difficult tie against Shakhtar, and Shakhtar have been backed to beat them as well today. But that is factored into the price. I mean, Celta Vigo have beaten Barcelona this season They've beaten Real Madrid. They beat Real Madrid over 2 legs, let's not forget. I mean, that's pretty impressive stuff. They lost 3-2 at Atletico at the weekend.
Who was the old Russian who used to play in midfield for Celtic? Mostovoy, was it?
Yeah, there was.
Blimey,
Yeah,
those were the days,
it's
weren't they?
John Guidetti up front there, scoring goals. But they are, Spanish teams do brilliantly in the Europa League. It's not only Sevilla. We've seen Villarreal go deep. We've seen Espanyol reach a final. I think there's a couple of reasons. One, La Liga has got depth to it. Two, they get their Copa del Rey out of the way now. So they've just got clear run so that they can concentrate on Europe. Every other league in Europe, you got Roma got a 2-legged semi-final coming up against Lazio, which is going to definitely take something out of them. So I was looking at them and also Copenhagen, who I thought were very unlucky in the Champions League. That they were definitely better than Leicester. And then the fixtures went against them. They played Porto in like a must-win game, and they were missing both of their strikers, drew 0-0. And then Porto played Leicester when Leicester put the reserves out, so that did for them. They got Ludogorets in the last 32. There's been a bit of money for them today. To me, that they're pretty much unbeatable at home. You look at sort of that Danish league. Brøndby knocked Hertha Berlin, who are doing quite well in the Bundesliga this season. So they would be my two. I'm always wary of backing the short ones at this stage of it.
And what price are they now, Ed? Mark's two, Celta Vigo and Copenhagen.
Celta Vigo are 25-1 and Copenhagen are 30-1.
Nice, excellent. Give us a quick blast of the short ones. There's a weird discrepancy between the Man U price and the Tottenham price, isn't there, which I can't quite understand.
Yeah, United are 4-1, Tottenham are 8-1, Roma 11-1, Schalke 12, Zenit 12.
Well, Spurs are not playing at home, are they? I mean, playing at Wembley is a definite. I mean, it's definitely
United have got a squad where they can rotate and still.
I still can't have double the price. That's ridiculous.
No, but just in terms of home advantage, I mean, if you're playing at White Hart Lane, you're playing at Wembley, there has to be some sort of price differential.
Okie doke. Henry, out of the 20 Premier League managers, how many own a dog? I'm going over under 4.5.
Right. I was trying to think of any that I know that own a dog. I remember Roy Keane always used to take his dog for a walk, didn't he?
Eddie Howe famously has a tattoo of the name of his old dog.
Is he? Oh, right.
Yeah, he's got a tattoo. And,
I'd go under your line, I think.
Would you really?
Because they probably haven't got that much. I suppose maybe the wives and that look after the dog when they're at training and stuff.
I thought over.
I'd go on.
I had it originally 5.5, but I nutted it down. Who would you be your banker for a dog?
Banker for a dog.
Dyche, would he have one?
Guard dog, just in case any player's trying to get in the area or something. Gets a guard dog out, doesn't he? Yeah, Dyche should have to be a banker.
Yeah, Dyche should be a banker, wouldn't he?
I don't reckon too many of the foreign ones.
No, because they've obviously moved around. Managers move around a lot, especially if they go in different countries. They can't take the dog with them. Or I suppose they can take the dog. Nah, I don't.
He's too busy watching football, I'd imagine.
Fair enough. Ed, your question is, who has the Asian money come for this week? I still don't know what the Asian money is. By the way, did you get back to that bloke on Twitter?
I did, yeah.
Someone tweeted and said, what does it all mean, this Asian money? I don't have a bloody clue, but Lango knows, and you know, Ed, don't you? It's sort of, it's all the smart money, isn't it, from the syndicates and all that sort of thing.
Yeah, so basically they come up with models based on expected goals, and then they react to team news, and you'd have your line, and then it's smoothing with team news thereafter. Who they've come after this week? I haven't seen much now so far this week because of the FA Cup, and I suppose the
Don't
Asians,
they really care about that?
Well, they wait to see the teams, I guess, to make their big plays.
It's a bit early in the week, isn't it, Ed? Really,
Is it?
The money normally comes sort of Thursday night over into Friday, and then Friday into Saturday.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
They're in love with Fulham at the minute, though. Fulham, I mean, are rated almost as good as Brighton at the minute in the Championship. They're going off really short prices. I think they went off 1-2 there during the week against Forest at home, and only just about obliged. But they're in love with them at the minute anyway. So probably see money for them against Tottenham.
Okay, interesting that Championship. The front two aren't that far clear, are they?
No, we've got that as a jury question for this weekend. Who wins the Championship? It's really interesting.
Something could come with a late rattle. Okay, we'll get stuck into the FA Cup in just a mo.
Check out Paddy Power's new and exclusive Kicker feature. Add a kicker to your bet, and the more your team wins by, the more you win. For this weekend, if your first FA Cup kicker loses, get your money back as a free bet. Stuff those FA Cup fairy tales. Max £10 money back. 18 plus. Gambleware.co.uk. T&Cs apply.
Completely ballsed it up. You're meant to answer the question you wish you'd been asked. But anyway, never mind. We'll crack on. It's FA Cup, fifth round weekend. It still hasn't really caught fire, I'm afraid, this tournament. The third and fourth round's very dull. Draw for the sixth round, draw for the fifth round means that there's every chance that all the big guns will get through. So I think there could be a bit of ACCA action this weekend. Before we look at the 5 live games, though, Ed, what is the latest? Give us a full show on the FA Cup.
Okay, so Chelsea and City are co-favs at 130, United are 92, Arsenal 92, Tottenham 6s, Leicester 18s, Burnley 20s, Borough 22s, Fulham 50s, Huddersfield 80s, Wolves 90s, Millwall and Blackburn are 150s, Oxford and Lincoln are 250s, and Sutton are 500 to 1.
Anyone got any interesting anti-posts left?
I've got Middlesbrough.
I've got them, yeah.
I mean, it looks like they'll get to the quarterfinals and still have most of the big guns left.
It's more like Middlesbrough than Middlesbrough, isn't it? There's not a lot going on.
They are still a difficult side to beat. They don't maybe a couple of penalty successes.
Okay, you never know, do you? Right, okay. The action kicks off at 12:30 at Turf Moor with Burnley versus Lincoln. Burnley in the unusual position of finding themselves very hot favourites. Ed Quigley.
Yeah, Burnley are 1-3. The draw is 4-1, and Lincoln are 9-1.
Henry, take us, lead us into battle. What's going to happen here?
I like the look of Burnley to win 2-0. I think it's just about 11-10 shot with Paddy Power. Burnley are really strong at home, and they failed to win 5 of their 16 home games this season. 7 of those 11 wins have come to 0. Dyche made a few changes in the last round, but they've got like a fairly decent squad now, so they can afford to rotate a little bit. Obviously, Lincoln are not in the class of Bristol City, and Burnley were comfortable winners against them in the last round 2-0. And I know Lincoln obviously going really well in the National League, but it's a massive step up for them. They've only kept 2 clean sheets this season, and I think it'd probably be a comfortable day's work for Burnley.
Mark, what do you think?
I'm looking at the second half to produce the most goals. I think Lincoln could sort of maybe make it awkward. If you have a look at their FA Cup games so far against league opposition, not a big sample size, but 3 of the 4 did have more goals in the second half. A lot of late drama against both Ipswich and Brighton, and also against Oldham. But even in the National League, 9 of the last 12 have had more goals in the second half. I mean, Lincoln have won 15 of their last 18 matches, and Danny Cowley, the manager, is earning rave reviews. I mean, I'd sort of read some local stuff because he used to manage Canvey Island's second team.
Really?
The second best team on Canvey Island.
That's your local team, isn't it?
Well, I mean, it's not far. I mean, you don't really want to go onto Canvey Island unless you can avoid it because of the traffic. But he took Concord Rangers. He did brilliantly with them.
Where is Concord?
Well, Concord's on Canvey Island.
Yeah,
it's Canvey Island's second team. So,
I didn't realise.
Well, I think they may actually be the best now. But and he did excellent.
Does it go off when it's the Canvey Island derby?
I wouldn't have thought so. I mean, it's hard to believe that an island can support 2 teams of the size of that, but it does to some extent. He did brilliantly with Braintree. He's doing brilliantly with Lincoln. I mean, he's definitely got something about him, something very special. Him and his brother. They may just be able to make it awkward for Burnley. You mentioned that they're in the unusual position of being red hot favourites. Just wonder how they'll react to that, because they're not a progressive team, are they? They are a team that kind of likes to nullify the opponent first. So it may just take a little while. I'd be very surprised if there was a shock, but Lincoln can keep it respectable, I feel.
What do you think will happen, Ed Quigley?
Yeah, I agree entirely with Henry there. Like Burnley will make changes, but there won't be enough to significantly weaken the team. I mean, you'll probably see Vokes, Westwood and Barton come in to the team. Obviously, as Mark just said there as well, yeah, Lincoln are flying in National League, but I think this is one step too far. And like Burnley have won both their FA Cup home ties by 2-0 against better opposition in Sunderland and Bristol. So yeah, I really fancy Burnley -1 here, 10-11. And Sam Vokes has opened the scoring in the last 2 rounds as well, and he's 3-1 to score first. That looks tempting too.
Righty-ho, 5:30. Wolves v Chelsea. Good stat here from producer Jack. Chelsea undefeated in 51 of their last 57 FA Cup matches. So again, they're going to be short as well. Just how short are they, Ed?
Yeah, they're 4-11. The draw is 19-5, and Wolves are 8-1.
Mark, you go first.
Yeah, I wouldn't be backing Chelsea, I don't think, at that price. I mean, Wolves showed in the last round that they can be sort of difficult opponents. And actually, they've tended to save their best work for the harder games in the Championship. I just wonder whether some of the foreign players, the Helder Costin players, maybe not up for it in just the mundane Championship games, tend to raise it. They've done so well against Newcastle away from home, won at Anfield. I was just looking first goal after 23 minutes. Paul Lambert, anyone that sort of remembers his time at Villa, is somebody that likes to build from the back and frustrate teams. And I just think that might be the way to go. Again, if Chelsea make one or two changes, may lack a bit of fluency early on, they'll probably just about win. But I think you'll find better 4 to 11 shots, during the sort of regular season than Chelsea here. And again, a bit like Burnley, may need to just work a little bit harder than the prices anticipate.
Henry, what have you uncovered?
Well, this is like being on countdown, so I have to show you my work, and I've got exactly the same as what Mark just said. So I fancy the first goal after 25 minutes.
How copious your notes are, mate. Very good. Bullet points and everything.
I've got a verdict for it, yeah. Lambert obviously changed his system against Liverpool in the last round, played the three in midfield, tried to keep it tight. And obviously, they're not massively in a relegation battle, but they're getting close to it in the Championship. And I think Lambert's aware of that, and he's changed things around against Burton, and that was 40 minutes until the opening goal in that game. Again, Newcastle took 44 minutes, and against Wigan last time out, 88 minutes. So he's well aware that he needs to try and tighten things up. Chelsea made a lot of changes in the last round, likely to happen again. Obviously, lesser players are going to come in, but also it could take a while for those players who are not used to playing together to gel. And I think, first goal after the 23rd minute, as Mark said earlier.
Righty-ho. And Ed, what's your verdict on the Molineux mouth-watering clash?
Yeah, so we expect to see the likes of Begovic, Fabregas, Loftus-Cheek, Batshuayi and Willian should all start. Wolves' home form is pretty poor all season. They've only won 4, and they lost again during the week there to Wigan. I think in the last round they caught Liverpool at their kind of lowest ebb. I don't know, they were just on a bad old run. And I wouldn't, again, similar to both the lads, I wouldn't be tempted by Chelsea at 4 to 11. But I think Batshuayi looks a decent price any time at 4 to 5. He's scoring in both the previous rounds as well.
Okay, let's get the Saturday best bets.
This will not be beaten.
Righty-ho, Mark, lead on.
Yeah, when you get a midweek round of Football League match, it's always sort of difficult to get all the information in. So I'm going to head to France while we're still waiting for team news. And it's Nice, draw no bet at Lorient. Lorient at bottom of the table with 22 points. Nice have got 53. They've just fallen off the pace a little bit in terms of the title. But, I mean, you've got Monaco absolutely flying. PSG have just beaten Barcelona 4-0, and Nice are third.
Have they got Balotelli?
They've got Balotelli. I think this is one of the reasons maybe why they've started to drift, because Balotelli's chucked one in, hasn't been involved in the last couple of matches. But, they've still only lost 2 matches in this season. One of those was against Monaco. The other was after a Europa League game. So they've had a free week. They've got to deal with an artificial pitch, which I suppose is a concern. Lorient do most of their best work at home, but this is a team that's bottom against a team that's in third. And I thought that Nice, Paddy Power actually is shortest about Nice, but I was a bit surprised that they're struggling to find a favourite really in the game.
Nice draw no bet for Mark. Henry, who for you?
QPR at Birmingham for me. I've been to a few QPR games this season, including last week against Huddersfield, and Huddersfield 2 up at half time, but QPR by far the better team in the second half. Should at least got a draw. Had a couple of good penalty shouts turned down. Birmingham, interestingly, conceded 13 headed goals this season, and QPR have got a big battering ram, 6'6", Max Smith up top. So he can cause them plenty of problems, I'd imagine, for set pieces, free kicks. And I think QPR have been playing a lot better than their results suggest. So they look quite a nice, tasty price to me. Could go down the draw, no bet line, because it could be sort of maybe a low-scoring affair. But I think it's worth taking a chance at the price, decent price.
I thought QPR looked decent against Brighton. They really did cause them problems. I think they had a man sent off in there.
I went to the Birmingham game at home again, and Birmingham beat the reverse fixture. Birmingham beat QPR, but QPR, I think it was a draw actually, 1-1, but QPR destroyed them that game, and they were really, really unlucky against Huddersfield. Huddersfield obviously a top Championship side, and they hardly touched the ball in the second half against them.
Okie doke. I'm going to go very boringly for Sheffield United in the big anti-post sickener. I'm on Scunthorpe. Right. I'm on Scunthorpe, but I'm afraid they're looking like they're wobbling like mad. So I think Sheffield United are 8 to 13 with Paddy Power. Not the most exciting price, but I think they'll win. Ed, what's your bet of the week?
Yeah, mine's Burnley -1 at 10 to 11. Their relegation worries are obviously completely eased, and I just think the 1 to 3 in the match prices looks huge to me, and I just think -1 at 10 to 11 is cracking bet.
How much do you think you'll be having on that, Ed?
So I'll be having a right few quid on it. Right? I just think the line is wrong. Like I think they should be a lot shorter than 1 to 3, and therefore their handicap price is out as well. Like
Okay, are you courting at the moment?
I was last weekend, yeah.
All right, okay. So you haven't got a girlfriend listening in, snooping on how much you bet, no?
Not yet, anyway.
So you'll be lumping right on, yeah?
Yeah, that ACCA pays about just slightly over 15 to 1 as well, by the way.
15 to 1. So let's review that. We've got Nice, draw no bet at Lorient. We've got QPR at Birmingham. We've got Sheffield United to beat Scunthorpe and Burnley +1, -1. You wish it was +1. -1 on the handicap. Okay, jolly good. There's your 15 to 1 ACCA. And here is your Sunday preview.
Check out Paddy Power's new and exclusive kicker feature. Add a kicker to your bet, and the more your team wins by, the more you win. For this weekend, if your first FA Cup kicker loses, get your money back as a free bet. Stuff those FA Cup fairy tales. Max £10 money back. 18 plus. Gambleware.co.uk. T&Cs apply.
Bruce Millington, Mark Langdon, Henry Hardwick and Paddy Powers, Ed Quigley looking ahead to 2 live Sunday FA Cup 5th round ties, 2 o'clock, Fulham versus Tottenham. Tottenham fan Mark Langdon, are you concerned about this one?
Not massively. I mean, it could have been worse, couldn't it? I mean, you're still playing a championship team, albeit a good one. More concerned with the Thursday-Sunday situation, with what Pochettino does in terms of peak. I assume we're speaking before the game in Belgium. I'm assuming he'll go strong for the Europa League, try to get that out of the way. And then next Thursday, they won't need to sort of bother with that. So I'm expecting sort of a half-and-half team against Fulham. I wasn't that surprised that Tottenham lost to Liverpool. I think defensively...
No, you did say that.
They've been very vulnerable without Jan Vertonghen and Danny Rose as well. They're on the verge.
Rose out for?
No, they're on the verge of coming back, but it's just whether the risk for this game or whether he holds them back. So they're talking very soon for both of those. I think that's massively important. I was looking at over 2.5 goals in this one. 14 of Fulham's 19 home games have been overs. And if you have 4 of the last 6 at Craven Cottage, they've conceded 2 goals. And one of those, when they didn't, was when Hull missed 2 penalties against them. So defensively, Fulham have got big problems, but they're scoring loads. I expect them to attack Tottenham because I don't think they'll be massively up for a replay. I think that they'll feel that they can do some damage. Don't like Tottenham at the back. They're okay going forward, of course, and I can see a lot of goals. I think it'll be a good game.
So what's the bet?
Over 2.5.
Over 2.5.
Yeah. I mean, you could throw a couple of quid on something like Tottenham 3-2 or something because you're having a look at. I mean, Spurs conceded 3 against Wickham, didn't they, and scored 4. So I'm expecting a similar game. I think this will be really good.
Henry, you're a burger of West London, so you go and see QPR a bit. Have you been to see Fulham?
No,
So
I
they're
haven't
quite
been to see.
intriguing, aren't they, Fulham?
Yeah.
I've got to just quickly say here, I think for the last 5 seasons I've been with Fulham to either go up or go down. So I've kind of almost feel like I support them. But this season I haven't had a bet, and they're being really exciting, aren't they? So what's going on there?
Yeah, I think this is right for an upset, this game. I think they've got a good chance. I mean, Spurs, obviously, as Mark said, got the Europa League Thursday. And to my mind, looking back at what Pochettino's done in previous seasons and this season, it looks like that will be the first priority over the FA Cup. So I expect a widely changed side. Villa in the 3rd round held out for 70 minutes against Spurs. Wickham were going through into the last minute. Spurs were in big trouble there and conceded 3 goals. And Fulham, although they're a championship side, and this is a big step up in class, they've shown against Hull where they thrashed in the last round, and they're not scared against Premier League teams, be it Spurs are a lot better than Hull. But and the way they play, they keep the ball very well. So, they had 60% possession against Forest, 68% against Wigan last time out. So they'd almost be maybe suited to playing, a team that's going to play a similar style to them. And, I think certainly getting a draw is not beyond the realms of possibilities for Fulham.
So what are you going to do? Fulham draw no bet?
Fulham draw double chance.
Fulham and a draw double chance. Right, let's get some match prices and your verdict, Ed Quigley.
Okay, so Fulham are 7-2, the draw is 27-10, and Tottenham are 4-5. Yeah, I'm on Tottenham myself for the outright, but I'm not feeling too confident at the minute. I suppose a lot of hinges on what team they play tonight, and they do seem to be firming up in the market. They're shortening a small bit against Ghent tonight, so that's not a great sign for my bet anyway. Fulham have largely played their first team to date in the cup as well. And as Mark said there a minute ago, I think this is going to be a goals bonanza as well. They've only kept 5 clean sheets at home. They do have a big performance in them, though. I mean, they've beaten Newcastle this season, and they've wiped the floor with Huddersfield and Reading 5-0 at home too, and they're both flying in the Championship as well. As I mentioned at the top of the show, they're highly rated in Asia too, similar to Brighton. in terms of their performances. And yeah, like Tottenham's made a lot of changes so in previous rounds. So yeah, I think both teams to score 4-7, over 2.5, 8-13. And I suppose Son will probably start up top as well. He has the last two rounds, and he's got 2 and 2 as well. So him at 6-5 anytime looks a bit of value as well.
Okay, 4:15, Blackburn v Man U. This is annoying me. Why is Huddersfield v Man City not on telly and Blackburn v Man U is?
United had to play on the Sunday because they were playing on the Thursday, so that I think that's sort of forced a hand. And City have got the Champions League game, haven't they? So that's on
enough.
Tuesday.
All right, I'll let them off.
But did you also see the viewing figures for the United game in the last round? I mean, people said nobody wants to watch Manchester United. It got I think it got about 6 million viewers.
Yeah,
and like the BT game, just got a couple of 100,000 or whatever. So
if you're a TV company, you want to guarantee viewers, you just bang them on, don't you?
But the BBC don't have that commercial imperative, do they?
That's true.
Anyway, never mind. We've got Blackburn v Man U. Any chance of a shock according to Paddy Power's prices, Ed?
So Blackburn are 8-1, the draw is 15-4, and United are 4-11.
Of course, you're a Blackburn fan, aren't you? Well,
Yeah.
I better crank up the enthusiasm. This is going to be classic, isn't it? Looking forward to seeing the boys on the box, Ed.
Yeah, well, it'll be something different anyway. Definitely on BBC. Yeah, I don't know. Like they've largely fielded their first team. I don't know. I'm getting very apathetic towards Blackburn these days. I mean, between the Venkis and fucking Owen Coyle, like I don't know. Yeah, it's all gone wrong anyway the last few years. But
that was a Mrs. Brown boys. We're all right with that.
Yeah,
Don't
you're
worry,
okay with that one. Yeah, so there's doubts over, I suppose, one of our main strikers in Sam Gallagher. He had to be taken off during the week when we lost to Sheffield Wednesday. It's a tight turnaround again for United, obviously, as well. Blackburn have only failed to score in 2 home games all season. Scoring's not the problem, it's defence. Only Rodman have conceded more than us in the champ. I think United will win, but I wouldn't be touching 4-11. It is a small bit of a derby as well, I suppose. But yeah, I think I'll go with Man United to win and over 2.5 at evens.
Okay, I would just like to clarify, I don't watch Mrs. Brown's Boys, but I am aware that the main character says feck a lot. Mark, what do you think will happen here?
I think Blackburn will get beat quite convincingly. I mean, they've got Owen Coyle as their manager. We probably could just end it there, really. I mean, I really do feel sorry for. I mean, yeah, they lost. You can go about 5s on that he blames the referee every time that they lose, and he did it again. Now, I haven't seen the highlights of what happened against Sheffield Wednesday, but they had a player sent off for pushing the referee. And he still managed to blame the referee for everything else that had gone on. I mean, I don't see how you can do it. I mean, if your player touches a referee, you should be hugely embarrassed.
Was that the guy who ran up to him, didn't he? And he kind of realised he was in a bit of trouble and stopped and kind of almost finished his braking by touching the ref, and the ref just went
Yeah, but I mean, I'm all for that.
I am as well. I agree.
I mean, Blackburn, I mean, you have a look at like the shot stats. I mean, this is a team that's getting battered most weeks. I remember watching them over Christmas, New Year time against Huddersfield. They drew that game, but they kind of scored with their only shot and were just absolutely battered for the 90 minutes. And then a couple of days later, they beat Newcastle, but again, they were just pummeled. So, I mean, I was looking at Fellaini to score first, maybe in the each way part of things. He's got 2 goals in 2017. They both come in the cup and included one on his last start. So, when Fellaini plays, and he's the kind of player I expect to play in this type of game, United do tend to, play up to him for sort of crosses and stuff like that. So, not a great bet.
You'll have a few quid on Fellaini. What will you be doing here, Henry?
I think Manchester United will smash Blackburn. I'm going to back. The best way I could think about getting involved in that would be Manchester United to win and over 2.5 goals. I mean, in the last round against Wigan, United's played the likes of Mata, Rooney, Martial, Schweinsteiger, Mkhitaryan. And the difference, I think, with the terms of Manchester United rotating and other teams like Spurs and Arsenal, is that it's almost like they're rotating, but there's competition for places there. Those players will come in and they might think they have a chance of getting in the team where, if Harry Kane's left out for Spurs, Jansen's not starting. He could score a hat-trick. Lucas Perez could come in and score 8 goals. He ain't going to start for Arsenal, But with United, I think there's more motivation for the players coming. It's not just a case of sticking the stiffs in. And they showed no mercy in the previous rounds against lower league teams. Blackburn, obviously, is Ed Smith. Sam Gallagher could be out. Hope Kapan is suspended. Elliot Bennett suspended. There's a lot of energy and bite to their midfield gone. And I think Manchester United could win, as many as they like, really. Could be a cricket score.
Blimey, O'Reilly. OK, let's look at Monday's live game.
Check out Paddy Power's new and exclusive kicker feature. Add a kicker to your bet, and the more your team wins by, the more you win. For this weekend, if your first FA Cup kicker loses, get your money back as a free bet. Stuff those FA Cup fairy tales. Max £10 money back. 18 plus. Gambleware.co.uk. T&Cs apply.
OK, so here finally is some genuine FA Cup magic and romance at 7:55 on Monday at Gander Green Lane in South London, Surrey. Sutton play Arsenal. It's going to be a very interesting evening. Sutton, their form's absolutely dropped off, which it often does actually when a team's got a big game coming up. But they're going to be a huge price, Ed. What exactly will you get back for your quid if you back them to spring the shock?
They're 16-1, Bruce, and the draw is 7-1, and Arsenal are 2-13.
2-13 Arsenal.
What's the handicap set out there, Ed?
-2, 6-5, kind of on Arsenal, and +2, 7-5, something United.
What do you like here, then, Lango?
Yeah, I'd like Arsenal on the handicap. I mean, I think what happened against Bayern Munich may kind of force Wenger's hand, into playing a strong team. This is virtually their. I mean, they're not going to lose to Sutton.
It's their cup final.
But it's their best chance of silverware now, isn't it? It probably was before, but I just think that there's a massive gulf in quality here. When Leeds went to Sutton, they made loads of changes, and that sort of helped. I don't really see the pitch as being that much of an issue for a Premier League team. I mean,
pitch will help Arsenal.
Well,
surely, ping it around. On
yeah, I mean, they'd probably prefer that the plastic pitch to a bog.
Quagmire,
yeah. So I mean, Sutton have done brilliantly, haven't they, to reach this level? But I mean, this is just such a massive step up to what they're used to. I mean, Arsenal, despite getting beat by Bayern Munich, are one of the 6 best teams in the Premier League, and I think fitness will tell in the latter stages, and that's when Arsenal will really kick on. I mean, they put 5 past Southampton, and the likes of, even if they do make changes, the likes of Welbeck and Walcott didn't start, did they? I suppose Koscielny's absence may be a slight sort of problem for them.
When's Mertesacker back?
I think he's back. He's back in training.
So
but
you think
I think Holding and Holding and Gabriel are probably ahead of him.
I mean,
so you're just going to go Arsenal all the way, Mark?
Yeah, I was looking at 3-0, 4-0, but I think the handicap's fair enough, really, -2.
The best time to back Arsenal is when they've just got spanked and everyone's wetting themselves.
Yeah, but Lee Dixon was talking about this. I mean, or was it Martin Keown? One of them said about that, but it didn't happen, did it? Against Chelsea, that didn't happen, and then they didn't get the response again against Bayern, which maybe suggests that that kind of spirit's gone.
They'll win their next 8 games, starting here, won't they, Ed? Not Ed, Henry. Sorry.
Yeah, I think they'll be comfortable winners. My angle in would be Perez and Giroud first scorer each way, both, and if one of them scores first, which are probably the most 2 likely players to do, you'll win. And if the other one gets a goal at any time, you're gonna get your money back on that one. So I don't really see any problems. Perez in particular, he's started 6 games for Arsenal. In those 6 games, he scored 5 goals, and he's got a bit of pace, which there's probably going to be the undoing of Sutton. I'd imagine that extra bit of pace, that extra bit of fitness, and obviously with Arsenal 2-pronged going, effectively out of the Champions League, as Mark said, this is their best chance of silverware, and also Wenger can't really risk any sort of problems here. So yeah, I expect. I think they've put out a fairly strong side throughout the competition, really. It's only been sort of like Maitland-Niles that's come in, but that's because they've had injury problems in midfield. They've had no one else really to play. But the back 4, Gibbs will play. Holding, maybe Mustafi. It's not it's not been a really weak inside. So
can't really put a bad side out, can he?
Not really. No, not really. I expect them to win comfortably, and if they get 3, 4, 5 goals, backing those 2 each way, you should cop the first scorer and get your money back on the any time.
The boys really fancy Arsenal to demolish Sutton. Do you, Ed Quigley?
Yeah, everything the lads have just said there, they've covered every single point I have written here. I just think back Arsenal -2 at 6-5. They're going to smash them. I think it's a cracking price, and it's a cracking bet too.
Okay, jolly good. Weekend highlight for you, Mark. What have you got coming up? You going to watch any football live or?
No, I mean I'm working both days this weekend, so I'll just be sort of watching football and typing words really for most of the day, and then talk sport on the Sunday evening for a bit of Euro.
You
chat.
and Danny Kelly?
Yeah, me and Danny Kelly. I'm looking forward to the Champions League actually again in the midweek, because we saw, Bruce, didn't we? I mean, the Euros was absolutely rubbish in the summer. The Champions League's where it's at when we get to this stage.
No question. I love the Champions League knockout phase. Henry, what have you got coming up?
I'm decorating this weekend.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
The hall.
Can you not see? I think he's come dressed for the decorating.
What, are you going to wear a suit? You're saving your 3-piece suit for that, are you?
Yeah,
Which room are you doing?
I'm doing. I've got a bathroom to do, like the main bathroom, and then there's like a downstairs toilet, so I'm doing them too.
What, paint, or you're not hanging wallpaper, are you?
Probably not. I've got strips and wallpaper and paint. Yeah, the hardest part's the woodwork. I think the paint of the walls is easy. You get the roller on, but it's the wood, it's the gloss in the.
Stripping wallpaper,
Yeah,
that is. Oh, that's no good, is it? Ed, you won't be doing any such thing, will you? You'll be young and wild and ripping it up in central Dublin all weekend, won't you?
Well, I was doing a bit of that last weekend, but no, this weekend I'm doing work, and then I'll probably go out Saturday night, but the Blackburn Man United match is probably the highlight on that.
What a weekend!
Good luck with that one.
I prefer to be Henry. I think.
Yeah, watching Blackburn stripping wallpaper, that is evens each of two. Okay, chaps, thank you very much indeed. Hope you have a profitable weekend, and I hope the guys' tips help you have a profitable weekend as well. We're back next Thursday with another Racing Post football postcast.
Check out Paddy's new kicker feature. If you fancy your team to run riot, add a kicker to your bet. And if your team win big, you win bigger. Paddy Power, you beauty.